Okay, in this problem we're going to use plurality, so to decide the winner the only thing that matters is who got first place, but in this one they're also giving us separately a rule for in case there's a tie. If there's not a tie, we wouldn't have to use the extra rule at all. The rule here is whenever there's a tie between two candidates, it's broken in favor of the winner of a head-to-head comparison. So what does head-to-head mean? It means between, let's say, A and B. If A and B were the only two choices, you know these 202 voters would have put B first and A second. How do I know that? Because it doesn't matter how far above A B is. They prefer this one over this one. So if they were the only two choices, they would have picked B, then A. You can tell because they put it higher. Okay, so first, if all we care about is first place votes, then we have to count up first place votes of all the candidates. So first place votes. Okay, so let's look through. Looks like these 153 people put A first. Also, these 102 people put A first, and these 55 ballots put A first. Remember what a preference schedule is. They're showing all the different ballots, so why are these people not all lumped together already? Well, the rest of their ballot wasn't the same, but they all put A first. So 153, 102, and definitely you can just add in your calculator also, just writing it so you can see it sometimes. So this is what, 10... 11. So looks like they got 310 first place votes. Alright, so now we'll look at B. And it looks like these 202 people put B first. And these 108 people, and that seems to be it. And 202 plus 108, there's no borrowing, so it's a little easier to do without even writing if you wanted to, is 310. So it looks like right there, there's already a tie. And then for C, these 110 people put C first, and also these 160 people. So it looks like they had 270 first place votes. And then D, these 145 and these 125 people all put D. And you don't have to do this, but see how I marked them all off and you can tell that you didn't miss counting any? So just an organizational thing that helps sometimes. So it looks like they also had 270. Okay, so if we look at where our tie's happening then, it looks like A and B have the most, so they're tied for first. And then C and D are tied for technically what would be third, because one of these people is going to get first or second. And so one thing to keep in mind is when we start doing the head-to-head, to not forget that these two could either get first or second. And these two could either get third or fourth. No matter what happens in the head-to-head matchup, say D can't get first, they didn't have enough votes to begin with. So the head-to-head thing is only for the tiebreaker. So we're just deciding between these two who's first and second, and then between these two who's third and fourth. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the head-to-head matchup for A and B since they're tied for first. And that's the one that we care about first, right? We want to know the winner, then we'll figure out the whole ranking. Okay, so if A and B were the only choices. So one thing I think that helps, say if A and B were the only choices, is maybe even go through and cross off the other ones. That way you can see these people would have put B and then A. So these people would have put B first in a head-to-head matchup. So we'll just cross off everything that's not A and B. You don't have to, but I think it helps to visualize. Okay, these 160 people, they put B over A. Doesn't matter that they didn't put them first. If they were the only two choices, they would have put them first over this one. So these 160 people also get to vote for B. These ones look like they would have voted for A. They put them first. These ones would have gone for B if they were the only two choices. These people would have voted for A. These people would have voted for A. So really, head-to-head matchup is about which one's higher. If B and A were the only choices, these people would have put B. And if B and A were the only choices, these people would have put A. In fact, they did already put them first, but it doesn't matter. They just have to be higher than B. Okay, so now we have to add up their total. So do this. Be very careful. This is why I did something to kind of mark them all off. So 202 plus 160 is 362. I'm just doing these first two. So these two. And then 145 and 108. Is that all the B votes? So this is 15, 11 with the one that's over there, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they would have got 615 in the head-to-head matchup. So then let's count up what A would have got. So they had 153. And maybe we'll combine these two. That'd be 235, right? And by all means, sometimes it's better to add in your calculator because you don't want to make a little mistake on adding, even though you got the whole idea correct, and then get your head-to-head matchup wrong. Alright, so this is 15, 10, 13, 14, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, who got more in the head-to-head matchup? It looks like B. Here's where the colors are useful. I probably should have labeled this one's for A. And this one was for B. Okay, so what does that tell us? Is that B got first. And that means that automatically A got second. They can't drop any lower than that because they did have tied for first place votes. All of this was just the tiebreaker. So sometimes, depending on what their rule is, the tiebreaker can take longer than the actual counting up the votes themselves. Okay, so then let's do head-to-head with C and D, since they're tied for third and fourth, and we want a complete ranking. Okay, so head-to-head, these folks would have put D. So they put D over C, so whichever one we run into first. These people would have put C. These ones would have put C. These ones would have put D. In fact, they did put D first. These ones, C is on top of D. C is on top of D. Here, D is over C, even though they're in third and fourth. And here, D is over C. So same idea, like head-to-head is what would happen if A and B weren't choices? Well, they would have put D over C because they put D higher than C. Okay, and then that means all of these other folks would have put C. So let's say if I add up the C, this is 213, 313. And this is 218. So it looks like they had 531 in the head-to-head matchup. And then D had 202 and 145, which adds to 347. So I did those two. And then they had 125 and 157. So this is 14, 19, 6, 11, 12, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they got 629 in the head-to-head matchup. So it looks like D wins the tiebreaker. So what does that mean for D? It means that they're third instead of fourth. And so that means C must be fourth. Now I'll tell you, that's the longest tiebreaker they can have is the head-to-head matchup. In terms of time it takes to do it, it's just a little tedious because you have to separately count them all up. Some of the other tiebreaker rules are whoever has the fewer last place votes. That's a little easier because you can just look along the last place column and count up how many last place votes everybody has. And then I just want to make sure I clearly answer this question. So they wanted a complete ranking, so I should probably put my complete ranking in order over here. So the complete ranking is B was first, so they won the tiebreaker over A. And then D is third because they won the tiebreaker over C. but what mattered first was first place votes. So first place votes, you count up first, then you worry about tiebreakers.